Return the index of all capital letters, edit bit challenge, let's get started. Create a function that takes a single string argument and returns an ordered array containing the indices of all capital letters in the string. So let's have a look at the example. We have position 1, 3 and 5 being returned, and bear in mind that arrays start at 0. So D is 1, B is 3, and T is position 5, and so on for your examples. Let's get started with the code side. So we see we have an integer array going to be returned, and we have a string parameter that's going to be set up. So we can start with a list, and we don't really want to be using arrays in this circumstance because we simply don't know how many is going to be returned, so we want to use a list. And because we're returning the indexes, let's use a list of integers. So we can say values is equal to a new list of integers, and we don't want to initialize anything, so we can leave the brackets empty. And let's take care of the return values straight away. So we can return the values, and then we can use this function called toArray. And simply all that will do is convert our list into an array because it needs an integer array to be returned. So then in the middle, we want to create a for loop, and we can use a for each loop for this, but we'd also have to create our own counter because we're going to be counting the indexes. We won't get the 1, the 3 and the 5 naturally, we'll have to implement our own index and we can store it inside here, and then inside the for each we'd have to do I++. So it's simpler if we just use a for loop because we're going to get index counting on its own. So let's remove this and just use a simple for loop. We can say int I is equal to 0, and we're going to be going all the way to str.length, which is going to be the length of our string. And inside this for loop, we're going to get every single character inside the string. So we can just say I++ right at the end. And what we're going to be doing is checking if we have a capital letter. So we can use this function called char is upper to be able to determine whether or not it's an uppercase character. So using the char library, we can just do char is upper and then place the character inside the brackets. And the character in this circumstance is going to be the string plus the index we're currently up to. So that's str square bracket I, which will give us the character inside our string. And simply inside here, we're just going to do values.add, and then instead of adding the character, because we don't care about what the character is, we just care about the index. And the index in this case is just simply going to be I. So let's check that and then we can have a quick recap. And as you can see, everything has passed perfectly. So let's just have a quick recap. We need to return back an integer array so we can create a list of integers because we don't know how many indices we're going to count. And then for the return value, we can just do values.toArray, which will convert it from our list over to our integer array. And then in the middle, we can just have our for loop. It's beneficial using a for loop so we can get the integer index automatically instead of having to use one if we had to use a for each loop. So we can go through, we can create I is equal to 0, we can go all the way to strings.length and increment by 1. And then for every character that we come across, we can check if the character is upper and pass in the character that we're currently up to, and that's accessed by str, which is the name of our parameter, plus the index, which is I in this case. And then if that passes true, we can do values.add. And we don't need an else to this if statement because we only really care about the capitals. If we don't find the capitals, then we can just completely skip that and go to the next iteration in the for loop. So that's it for this challenge. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments below and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.